So we're going to go to the guys who are on the team right now. So these are the guys we looked at on the as far as the active roster as of right now, heading into 2024. So take out Richie James and take out Harmon. Those guys are off the team now. This is who we have, and these are the guys cap hits going into this coming year. So we got MVS, $13.9 million cap hit. KT, a $2.5 million cap hit. Justin Watson, $2.1 million cap hit. Sky Moore, $1.7 million cap hit. Rashee Rice, $1.4 million cap hit. That's a bargain right there, JD. Rashee Rice, $1.4 million cap hit. There's a guy, so Anthony Miller, who we signed midseason, $985,000 cap hit. Shi Smith, who I have no idea who that is, but $985,000 cap hit. Our guy Justin Ross, the aforementioned, the legend Justin Ross, $915,000 cap hit. Nico Remigio, who a lot of people loved during training camp last year, who he should be back from his shoulder injury. He looks like he could be a guy that we could plug and play next year. And then Jacob Copeland is the last guy on our roster that has a cap hit, $795,000. We also have Montreal Washington, but does not have a cap hit, JD. So I don't really know that with that. He's still on our roster, but there is no cap hit. So I'm guessing that means they could cut him and there would be no dead cap or anything to give back. Right? I mean, is that how it works?
Yeah. No, yeah. There's nothing against the books on him. So I don't know as far as how they work that out, but no, he's not on the active roster, so it's not costing him anything.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Because there's a few guys here. I mean, Shi Smith, I didn't even know who that was. I mean, he's on our roster. Never even heard of him. So I mean, it's interesting to check the books sometimes and see who's on it, and where they're spending their money. But JD, when you see the receivers are on the roster right now and you see their cap hits, what stands out to you from this list right here? We're going to dissect two specific guys in a second here. Guys that are on.
Right, you're something else, man. You're something else. Go ahead, brother.
The two guys we're about to dissect, they're not the guys that I've talked about. Well, I have talked about them, but everyone in Chiefs Kingdom was talking about these two guys specifically. One more for a cap casualty reason, and one for we'll get into that reason as to why. But when you see this right here, JD, what kind of stands out to you here? I mean, obviously for me, when I look at this, I look at this list, and I'm like, okay, still same problem as last year, not really having another guy to kind of, to lighten the load for Travis Kelce, to, have another partner in crime for Rashee Rice in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, I think getting into it, man. Okay, we're looking at production on guys and, how much guys are getting paid, right? Strictly business on these things.
Yeah.
Obviously, what stands out is $13.9 million MVS is making. The KT making $2.5 million. And we'll still with the people at the top, all right, that's counting the most against your cap. Justin Watson, $2.1 million. Like I said, KT, $2.5. Sky and Rice going to be there because they're draft picks, so you don't have to really worry about them as much. Justin Ross is $9.15 against you. He's trying to figure it out. I don't know as far as like how they feel about him on the project. Anthony Miller, I don't know as far as like how it's going to go. No, all these other guys, these are guys that every year walk in and walk out. Let's be honest. That's how it works. So, if the Chiefs may move on from MVS, they may move on from him. The 13.9 just doesn't make any sense for his production. And so they may feel to go a different route and use that money to try to get somebody else a free agent here. Okay. So dead cap hit is just $2 million, right? So Chiefs will eat that. And maybe sort out.
Saves us about $11.5 million by doing that.
Right. So the business side of it, that would make. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to be their move to get rid of MVS or to have him move on. I don't like to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But maybe work out a deal to say, hey, you know what? for production, we want to go a different route. May same thing with Cadarius Toney too. Just with the uncertainty, the issues that's been having, the 2.5 million cap. I mean,
we'd be eating that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the Chiefs kind of sometimes you take chances on guys. That's what you do, and they took a chance on him. So, would they say, "Hey, look, with that 2.5, we'll eat and we'll move on from it. We'll move on. We can't wait to see what's going on and what we need to do for the next few years." I think they want to try to find a more consistent player to be on a roster. Without any type of controversy being surrounded by him. I don't even know the truth of what all these things happened at the very end about his hip being hurt. Or don't know. I don't know any of that. Right? I think nobody really knows. Speculation. He's saying one thing, said something else. All we know is production on the field left a lot to be desired. Okay, and he's been hurt, which is just unfortunate because a guy who can't really show you what he can do because he's always hurt. He's always being injured, and so doesn't bode well for you. You can't argue a good case for yourself about them paying you if you're always hurt. So that's what I look at.
Yeah, with KT, like I put when I was making the graphic, I put potential cap casualty. It's not really a cap casualty because it's not his contract's not a lot of money, and we'd be saving a lot. We would be eating $2.5 million by getting rid of him. Best case would be for us to try and trade him to get rid of the $2.5 million, and maybe try to get something back. But the problem with that is finding a suitor for him. When the Giants got rid of him, there was not a lot of people calling and for Toney at that time. We got that deal because there was reports that he was faking hamstring injury, whatever, whatever the team's saying or what he's saying, whatever it is. It's just there's a lot surrounding that's clouded by stuff, right? We were, we'll take a chance on it. Brought him in, got a Super Bowl out of it, had a huge punt return in that Eagles game. We'll never forget that. But obviously the way the season ended, everything unfolded, the drops from in week one, and then it kind of continued. And then the whole injury thing at the end where, he has an Instagram video live where he, says some stuff about the team and whatnot. I mean, I don't even know. It's just a lot of it's a lot of stuff going on that's not needed for, I mean, and this is the thing. It's like someone was trying to compare him to being I think I saw someone calling him like a Terrell Owens type, and it was like there's a difference, JD. Well, one's a Hall of Famer, but there's a difference there. And I'd be curious to hear what you say about this. Yeah, what people were trying to compare him to Terrell Owens being a distraction. Terrell Owens wasn't there was times where he was a distraction in his locker room, but what was that distraction doing on the field though? His production was saying, "Hey, you know what? Yeah, there's a bit of distraction, but that production, that's okay. Okay, we'll deal with that." When there's stuff going on with KT, there's a little bit of distractions here and there, just things, murmurs and stuff going on, whether it's true or not, what he's saying on Instagram, whatever. That's just too much for a guy who's really not giving us a lot of production on the field. It becomes a headache, and it's like Andy Reid's answering questions about his Instagram live video during Super Bowl media week. It's not what he wants to be talking about.
No. And the Chiefs, they don't want that distraction. They don't want anything to derail them from what they're trying to do, win the Super Bowl. And so I think for any team, I don't care if it's not just the Chiefs, or any team out there, they hate that. They hate controversy, things they don't necessarily can control. So they're without a doubt antithesis to those things. They do not like that at all. If you feel like you're going to be a problem or a headache or is even any type of question about it, then they move on. They move on from guys. You can't, KT and TO, no comparison whatsoever. Zero.
If KT was TO, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Oh, yeah. True. It is about production. Look, if you produce, teams will put up with more things than they need to, right? They can make concessions for guys like, all right, well, it wasn't that bad. He just cussed you and a couple other people out, but he's okay, right? He cussed out everybody. Just, about 2 or 3 of y'all. Yeah, that was it. Okay, fine. We live with that. Y'all okay. Y'all feelings are, y'all ain't hurt. But if things are going on and it doesn't look good, you don't quite know where they're coming from, They're not about it. Teams are not about those things. So I don't know if you can, like you said, find suitors to do whatever. And I don't know what the Chiefs going to find, right? And teams might say, hey, no, thank you. No, thank you. Appreciate it, but no, thank you. So,
well, and teams are all thinking too. Well, you're the defending champs, the back-to-back champs. You're trying to get off this guy. We saw your receivers this year. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we'll stay away. I mean, hey, if I'm Veach, I'll take anything. Give me a 2026 conditional 7th round pick, JD. I'll see if I can strike gold with a Pacheco type pick with that in a couple of years.
yeah.
And we also talk about MVS here. Obviously, so the cap hit 13.9 million, dead cap too. So we'll get about 11 and a half mil back in doing so. Obviously, everyone talks about the drops and his production and not really meeting the what was price tag, right? But like you talked about, there's other things that he did this year that's really that allowed us to become this other team. Second half of the season, we flipped the switch, became more of a kind of a ground and pound, kind of a rugged kind of team, and him on the outside allowed us to do that. His blocking on the outside allowed us to kind of turn into that. He turned his drops around once he got confidence in the playoffs. My thing is, I know everyone's like, hey, just drop him. Seeing it in the comments here, everyone, will have 11 million to retain it, and I'm all for it. However, he has stepped up when we need him the most in the postseason, and obviously, if he says no to this, I would say maybe a restructure, so we aren't having to find another new receiver. Is there a way we can restructure and get him for, say, hey, like come down from this and we'll do a 1 year $5 million deal for the season or something like that? I mean, that still saves us money in the end. And, we could have him and let him finish off this three-peat with us and potentially try to ride that out. But if not, if he says no to that, obviously, okay, then let's, cut our losses and, save the 11 million.
Yeah. I mean, it has to work. It has to work. I mean, we're talking about a significant drop as far as like what they're going to offer. I mean, that's the reality. And if he doesn't have it, then, okay, then we'll see you later. You could find somewhere else to go and try to get, like you said, get suitors or whatever you may do. I don't know if you want to take such a pay cut to stay on a championship team is what you really have to. That's what you have to deal with. MVS is going to deal with that this offseason if that's what he wants to do. Chiefs maybe just want to move on, from away from him. Period. I don't know. So, and a lot of that's going to go into work ethic, how everything transpired this entire year. If guys felt like they were dedicated or what they were trying to do is something that they're going to take an account for. So these things get passed on from team to team. And let me explain that to people as well. And so they're shopping these guys out. They're talking to other people. They're trying to fill these things out all the time. This is what happens. So they've been having some conversations and communications with other teams right now as far as like what's going to be able to do. But for MVS making that amount of money, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So.
And obviously, this better than me or anybody in the chat here. Next week, Combine Week. A lot of the conversations you're talking about, they'll grow even more next week when all the teams are under one building with each other, talking about guys, potential trades, talking about even talking with team players as agents as well, right? I mean, all that stuff's going to kind of ramp up next week at the Combine.
Yeah, definitely. It's when all the teams, everybody gets together. That's when it first starts really happening. And talking with the owners or whatnot. This when everything starts getting into it a little bit more. So look, and at the Combine, you can see, hey, look, if we give you this guy, draft pick, we can trade this guy. You start seeing a little bit more. Things start getting a little bit more clear. At least the conversation starts happening even more. So there's going to be a lot of willing and dealing, man, during the time for the Combine. There's going to be a lot of willing and dealing. You're seeing it.
And let me ask you, this is JD, GM hat JD. if I'm Brett Veach, I came to you, hey, how about you throw me a 5th round, 4th round pick for MVS, or are you saying yes to that for that $13 million price tag? I mean, and that's something too. I don't know if you see it sometimes where teams will say, hey, like, we'll trade you MVS, but we'll pay a certain amount of this contract. You pay the rest of it. And even so, let's say we do that. I know it's not. You could save 11 million. I think they before even doing that, I think they would drop him before trading him, even if it is for a 5th round pick, because you're going to save more in the long run.
You're going to save more in the long run, yeah. So I don't think it's, the money. Teams are like, yeah, absolutely not. They ain't trying to pay that because they don't need to. So I don't know. My GM hat is the conversation. Hey, you're gonna take a pay cut. This is where we at in your production. If not, then guess what? This is the course of action. What we're going into. Yeah. So I don't know what that number looks like, but it's definitely ain't gonna be no 13.9. So
yeah. And looking at the list here, I know we've some people in the chat said just focus on Rice and Watson. I mean, even we still, obviously, let's say KT and MVS are gone. You got Rice and Watson. You got Sky, who's coming back, and I don't know what's gonna happen with that. He was active for the Super Bowl. It didn't get one. I don't think he got one rep on offense. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that whole thing. Obviously, he'll still be on the team. But I don't know if he's gonna be a difference maker offensively next year for us. And Watson, I don't know if he's gonna be a difference maker. I think he's a great veteran piece to have on the squad, but I still think there is gonna be either a high draft pick receiver or a veteran who comes in, maybe be a high-ticketed guy. I know a lot of people are throwing around T. Higgins, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, and Hollywood Brown as the options. But, like, I think whether it's a top 2-round receiver or one of those guys I just mentioned, or one of an echelon of that kind of guy, a veteran piece, that's going to happen. And, yeah, Watson will still do what Watson did this year, but I think having another guy in the room to replace the MVS aspect.
Let me just be honest. There's only one guy on here, well, two, that is almost guaranteed to be here. That's Rashee Rice. And then Sky Moore don't cost you anything. I mean, it ain't no guarantee that Justin Watson's going to be here. 2.1, sure, they might just want to try to revamp the entire wide receiver group.
You're right. His cap hits 2.1. His dead cap's $150,000. They'd say $2 million by cutting him. So
yeah. So look, we could say that, but I'm telling you how the NFL, the business works. Nobody is safe. No one is safe. Only ones that safe is Rashee Rice, guys that we drafted. We understand that. Those are the guys they're going to stick with. Sky Moore is going to get another chance, another shot to do what he's going to be able to do. Okay. But Rashee Rice, his name, he's here. Everybody else, this is how the business is. Ladies and gents, welcome to the NFL. It's bottom line. And so when we're talking about being up at the combine, this will be the conversation. I've been at the restaurants with the coaches, and I've been there. I've combined several years. And these are the conversations you're going to have. This is real talk comes out about who guys are and who guys are not, okay? And if you feel like you can win with a guy and you can't win with him, and, this guy, well, what are you getting out of him, or what is he giving you? So all of that comes up. All these things are going to come up. But I'm telling you, man, hey, there are no guarantees. The only guarantee you see out there right now is Rashee Rice and Sky Moore because he's your draft pick. Other than that, hey, man, it might look like a whole different thing, especially if you're trying to free agency get a couple of guys. Let's say, hey, doesn't cost a lot of money for McCole Hardman to be here, right? Doesn't cost him a whole lot. Keep him here because of all the things he's done, what he shows the team. You're going to legitimately get 3 or 4 more guys in, new guys. Seriously. But we just go this whole thing we mixing up, do all over again. Okay. So I don't know. I like Justin Watson. I'm not saying that I do like Justin Watson. But the Chiefs may not like him. or feel like, okay, well, look, we don't need to give him $2 million a year for his production, So these things will be, look, when we go into negotiation, they're going to talk about drops. They're going to talk about all these different things. I mean, all this comes up. So
there's one guy you didn't mention here, JD, and don't laugh at me, but you didn't mention. You said there's only one guy who's got a guaranteed spot next year is Rashee Rice. You didn't mention my my guy Justin Ross.
Oh, hey,
there's no guarantee there.
No, ain't no guarantee. I'm telling you, ain't no guarantee. Hey, look, potential will only get you so far. They ain't gonna get you. We just look. Sometimes guys just want opportunities, get their feet in the door. And the reality is, these guys have had opportunities, foot in the doors, and if it hadn't been working, and hadn't been cutting it, guess what? A door swings both ways. As soon as you walked in, you walk out. If you could put your foot in that door and get it in, that's what you're trying to do. Just opportunity. So that's the way I look at it. Ken Horbacher said, I keep Rice, McCall, and Watson. That's it. Well, I hear you. So
I guess it depends. I mean, because what you're talking about, our GM, our guys gonna be talking to the other team's agents and stuff. They're gonna feel the market for a lot of these other guys, and if they feel they can get a guy who can contribute more than what Watson's giving us at $2 million, they're gonna do that. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah, Watson produced well in this offense that we have this year, guys. But if we can get a little more juice and talent in the room, I think. I mean, you put somebody else in that spot that Watson was in, they could excel even more so than what Watson did. I mean, for a lot of people, that Watson has been kind of a surprise, right? I mean, like, he's been great, but I just think with the offense that we have this year, like, they plugged in. I think anybody. It was a very limited receiver room this year, and I think that's why Watson shines so much in this limited wide receiver room outside of Rashee Rice.
Yeah, and he had to step up. He had to step up. I'm just looking at some of the comments over here. I'm just saying, like, the only one, like, seriously guaranteed, the only one, Rashee Rice, and then Sky Moore because he's a draft pick. Everybody else, hey, it can happen. I've seen this before. Seen it several times. So
yeah, if they were to cut Sky Moore, his cap hits 1.7, but his dead cap is 900. So you're only saving about $800,000.
Man, I'm like with Lenny. Lenny says too early to move away from Moore yet. I believe that. I think it's too early to move away from Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore is a guy that takes time to develop. Next year may be his year. With a draft pick like him, I think next year could be his year. So that's can he give you the production that that Watson gave you? Okay, that's a question. Look, we know all these guys got potential. The guys that we know Justin Ross has potential. We've seen him catch different balls and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, but we said controversy and things like teams. They ain't got time to babysit guys. I'm sorry. They just, hey, y'all, they ain't got time to babysit guys. This is the NFL. Not for long. That's the moniker. That's exactly what they mean. So that's the way it works. That's the way it works. So
yeah, and I do think they were really high on Remigio. And this is a guy, I mean, we talk about this all the time, especially towards the end of training camp. We're talking about cut down days, how many guys in the keep, which guys can do a lot of other things. Remigio is one of the best punt returners coming out of college. We were able to get him. He looked great, and I think he was actually rotating with the first team reps for punt return for a little bit, and he had a shoulder injury. That's a guy who can make the team gain the we're talking about the Richie James saving money here and there. You can get a guy who can do the Richie James stuff. You don't have to re-sign him for 1 year, $1 million. You're getting that production and maybe possibly a little some slot action. All that for $800,000 right there. I mean, that's kind of where they're looking at. JD, a lot of what we've seen, especially with a lot of high ticketed guys we have, with Jones potentially, Snead potentially, Mahomes, Toney, if we decide to keep him around, that's a lot of high priced guys. Veach is going to have to, pick and choose where he spends that money in the spot, especially like lower on the Chiefs depth chart in the receiver room, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so, and when you find guys like this, it makes your whole scouting department and yourself look like a genius. You got to get a guy like that, right? somebody who wasn't supposed to do this, and you find a diamond in the rough. They find something potential in the guy, they'll take a chance. They'll give that. So, Remigio, he had good hands. I think, during the preseason, he showed a lot of flashes. He looked hungry, passionate.
He did.
So, Chiefs might be like, okay, well, we got on here who does have that about him, right? So, I don't know, man. It's like I said, only one I know for sure is going to be in that room is Rashid Rice, and then maybe Sky Moore. Everybody else, they can play with however they want to. Okay, and like I said, I like Watson. I think Watson should be in a conversation. Go if he gives you what he wants as far as consistency, as far as being there on the team, and then you got to go draft a guy, free agent guy. Okay, and then maybe get somebody else that's got a little sauce to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't feel. And I don't believe that's an overcorrection. I don't believe that's an overcorrection. Overcorrection would be like trying to get like 2 free agents out here who's like, trying to, twist all the money around to try to get a guy like that, right? I don't think it takes that for this room. I think it takes one good guy, okay, get a draft pick that is a high-level draft pick that has good hands, tracks the ball well, come in and play right now. And then everybody else. I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be fine there. So there's a lot of different things you can do.
Yeah, I guess when I've said in the past, the overcorrection aspect. So like the O-line, we talked about that, and that's what I've been saying. I think we're going to do this year in the receiver room is that overcorrection, kind of like we did with the O-line after the Super Bowl against the Bucs. That and not necessarily we didn't really pay. I mean, yeah, Toney we paid, but Trey Smith, that was a diamond in the rough we found late in that draft. Yeah, he had the medical red flags. Creed Humphrey, a 2nd round pick. We didn't go out and really spend. Yeah, we draft capital, but we struck gold with Trey Smith. That wasn't supposed to happen, but the way it did, it did. So we overhauled and overcorrected it, and I think that there's very well we can maybe pay for a. I'm not saying pay up, but go get a Hollywood Brown type. I'm not saying him, but I'm just saying a guy like that. I'm not a T. Higgins who's going to be top of the market, but not a guy who's going to be cheap. He's going to be right in the middle of the road, which I think where Hollywood Brown would be. And then you draft the top 2 round receiver. Then you go, boom, you have a top 2, you have a early round receiver guy, and then you have a veteran who's done it before, and then you put in that room, and then you put it with Rashid Rice and Sky Moore and I don't know Remigio and Ross. I mean it's a pretty solid receiver room.
Yeah, I agree with you. You're not going to go get a $30 million guy. $25 million. You're just not. The Chiefs are not going to do it. They're not paying a guy that much money to come in.
Not if you want to retain some of the guys we have who are free agents now.
No, well, absolutely not. It's just not going to happen. That's not going to work money wise. And why should it? There's good enough receivers out there that you can get a middle road guy, almost what MVS is making. Okay, let's be honest.
That's what D-Hop wanted.
Yeah.
D-Hop wanted this contract.
Well, but hey, the thing is now, this is, I don't know, man. This is what we're looking at. This is going to be like at, other places on the roster, but without a doubt, like you said, somebody middle of the road, draft pick, pretty high that could come in and play right now. But that's not going to be a drop off. Your wide receiver room, like when you get the guys that you get that is going to work, he was like, this ain't going to be another issue dropping off. We need guys that are sure-handed, that we know is going to catch a lot of footballs and stuff. Sky Moore provides that he can catch the football. He can run routes. He's got a skill set, okay? I don't really worry about his hands. His hands, I don't think, is really a question to me.
It's the confidence aspect of putting it all together.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it had to do with as far as like the personnel and formation, what you're doing with it. Okay, you're asking him to do things that he probably shouldn't be doing. It's like, okay, look, all right, like we got to make sure we put him in the box with certain things he's be able to do, right? Knowing his capabilities and then flow with it from there. Okay, so I do believe that Sky Moore is a guy that could easily give us something just getting better. And maybe that confidence comes this offseason, Marcus. That maybe it's, what you're talking about. Maybe it takes that, right?
Maybe.
So
maybe the reason why we started off our Monday series with the receivers is because I think, and obviously it's the biggest topic of the season were receivers, but I think more so than that, JD, I think this is gonna be a room that when it's all said and done, we're going to training, we're going into the regular season. We'll look back at this episode and I'll put our list of guys that we have on the roster going into the regular season versus this. And there's a big chance, and I don't know if you agree with me, that's going to be completely different.
No, I do. I agree with you. I think it's going to be completely different. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said the only one out here, Rashee Rice, is the only one that looks like it's guaranteed he's going to be in the room. That looks like Rashee Rice is here. And Sky because he's a draft pick. So other than that, I think it's going to be looking completely different. No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason to say the least, JD.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that does it for us on our first Monday morning tight end of the offseason. I thought it was a good way to start the bang with going with the wide receiver room because I know everyone. This is the this is the thing everyone's talking about. Even the people who don't even know the Chiefs, they're talking about our receivers, right? That's everyone's talking about. So it's gonna be interesting to see who stays, who goes, because I think it's gonna be a little bit of what you were kind of hinting at, that there's really no lock besides Rice, and everything else is kind of like in the gray area.
Yeah. I know I'm chuckling because, we have our conversations off camera on things and stuff. We talk, we joke about things and whatnot. But I think, we have a good assessment on we're talking about a year, right? We're not hiding anything. Mm-hmm. We're talking about a year. But it's without a doubt, the wide receivers room is something we had to do something totally different with. And it shouldn't be such a hard thing for Patrick and those guys, or Travis having to have more on his plate, when those guys on the outside can help them out so more tremendously. Okay, tremendously. And we ain't looking for chopped liver. We're not looking to just bottom of the barrel. We're not going to be so cheap that we're not going to get somebody in here who's capable of catching 80 balls a year. Believe me. So they'll make it out. They'll figure it out.
I think it's going to have to be, and we'll get into it on Wednesday because there's one specific name I want to bring up on Wednesday or for a Wednesday show, but I think it's going to be kind of a combination of, towards the end, not at the end, but kind of the middle of LeBron's Miami Heat days. There was the ring chasing stuff. You had a lot of veterans, the Mike Millers of the world, the James Joneses of the world, guys who never got a ring, but were always, solid guys on their teams. They hopped on in Miami to win rings and stuff because pretty much their career, their accolades set. Mike Miller is one of the best three-point shooters of all time. Hops on, Miami gets his ring. And I think we're going to have elements of that where there's certain receivers out there who have body of work, done it. Do they have the rings? No, they don't have the rings. Have they already had their paydays? Yes. Okay, let me go finish off my career and get a ring.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.